Hey everyone. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about my morning routine that I use to keep my body, my mind, my spirit, my being in balance. Okay, so this has been something that has been ebbing and flowing throughout my life for years. And most people talk about when you have a morning routine, it really does shift and adjust and change right as you go through it. So this is kind of what I found to be effective recently and something that I found that I use. The importance of a morning routine, there's many videos talking about that. It's really nice to have something consistent and solid regardless of what your state is when you wake up. This really keeps you in a balanced space throughout your day. So it can be very, very effective for that. Okay, so here's what I do. So basically I wake up and the first thing I do, just like anyone else, you stretch, you're in bed, move around a bit, kind of become aware of your body. Then I sit up, and just for like 5 or 10 seconds, sometimes a little longer, I'll just observe my state. So I'll kind of get in a little bit of an observer, kind of you could say like a sovereign space, and just say, okay, I'm feeling this, thinking this. Okay, interesting. I used to lay out my body, energy, emotions, and mental state. So I used to kind of see where those were and almost like run them off and do a bit of a body scan. But I found it almost got me too much in my body, so I don't do that too much anymore. I really just sit and kind of observe my state roughly. Note, I just made this video for 20 minutes and like it cut off halfway, so I hope I can get all the same stuff in as I did before, but we'll see. If I'm irritated, that's why. Okay, so that's what I do. And then I get up and I have a little bit of water. The water's combined with lemon juice, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, sometimes a touch of cinnamon, and a little bit of chicken broth occasionally. Sometimes warm, obviously, or ideally lukewarm, but I usually just have it kind of cold. But just a bit before I do my other things. I like to balance my body first, balance my kidneys for actually filtering that. I find if things are tight in my abdomen or my back, and then I put water in the equation, it just sits there anyway. So I do that first, but I have a little bit often. And then pretty much within 30 seconds of getting up, the first thing I do is I get outside and I ground. Okay? So what is grounding? Basically, I'll put a video, I'm going to make another video on it, but grounding basically is your feet on the ground barefoot. So in Canada here, obviously easier in the summer than the winter, but I go outside, sometimes I take one sock off, sometimes both socks, and sometimes I'll have like a winter jacket on because it's cold, but I'll just bare feet on the ground. And so I'll be out there for 30 seconds to 10 minutes. Sometimes you're getting sunlight, so there's benefit there too. Sometimes you're seeing other people, you're having that slight little interaction, so socially it can be really good. And obviously it's just good to get out of the house. You have the moments of just, okay, I'm out now, I've already been out, right? So I really like the feeling of doing that. And then there's the aspect of the negative electrons from the earth and just feeling very grounded physically, and so there's benefits there as well. So I do that again up to 10 minutes. Sometimes my abdomen's shaking or relaxing and notice tight spots in my body. It's very meditative, right? Sometimes I'll work my posture a bit, shoulders back. But I just kind of observe. So there's an observation aspect there. Then I go back inside, and the bulk of my routine is a combination of stretches, so very physical things, a little bit of breathing, but I don't have a strict breathing practice. And then there's a lot of kind of energetic components, a little bit of spiritual aspects, not a strict prayer, but I'll connect kind of to, guides, angels, my higher self, Jesus, I give a fist pound to, my grandparents that died. So there's kind of that spiritual component, some gratitude in there as well. But a large part of it is a combination of stretching mixed with tapping and very almost like Chinese medicine protocols. So kind of energetic type of stuff. So it's a combination of that, but specifically what it is, the main bulk of it is Donna Eden, who I've talked about on this channel, who has a lot of information on tapping. So EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, or tapping. There's a protocol she has that includes that, but also includes, she calls it her I think it's a 5-minute energy tune-up or something. And so I do that quite strictly, but I altered it slightly. But basically it's a combination of this. So first thing you do is you march on the spot. Okay, so just tip over, see my foot? Yeah, there we go. Marching on the spot. Okay, but you march first you march. It's called the homolateral cross. It's crossing over the hemispheres of the brain. It's the homolateral crisscross or crossover, I think she calls it. So if we're in a state of a negative emotion, feeling something strongly or whatever, we're usually ruminating. We're on one side. The brain's not crossing over properly. We're stuck, basically. So this helps unstick that. And I find it to be super effective. So you march on the spot, but you march with the same leg and arm to start, which will feel weird, but it won't feel weird if you're off. If you're off balance, mentally, emotionally, it'll actually feel that it's okay. And then you march opposite, like normal. So left arm, right leg, etc. And do about 12 on each side and go back and forth twice. Just end with the opposite, because that's the actual crossed over. So it's interesting, if you're in a balanced place, the crossed over like a natural, right arm, left leg, that'll feel good. But if you're off, that'll feel off. So it really helps balance you first thing. So I do that. Sometimes I start though just with some tapping. So I tap on the collarbones, sternum, side of the body. I'll put a video on this because I go through that in detail, but I'll tap those 3 spots, sometimes the top of the head. And if I'm feeling something, I'll just observe it or even state it as I'm doing it. Overwhelmed, not sure what I'm going to do today, stressed, anxious. Like I'll just kind of, or think about that thing, helps it clear. Okay, so these clearing practices. Then I'll do a thing she calls the Wayne Cook posture, which is basically you're sitting down cross-legged with your leg up like this on your other knee, breathing in, pulling up. Then exhale, let your leg drop. Do it again. I'll do 2 or 3 of those in each leg. So that's doing a couple things. You're stretching out the fascia on the outside of your leg, as well as your back, as well as your glutes. So there's that very physical component. There's also you're breathing in twice like that. Exhaling long. So Andrew Huberman from Stanford, the professor, calls that the physiological sigh. So it's a way to really relax your nervous system in an effective way quick. So I do that as well. So it's that as well as the energy pathways, the meridians on the outside of the leg. It's helping balance those as well. And your hands are over top of the meridians on the foot. So a combination of that. Mixed in with that, I also massage the bottom of my foot and also massage up my leg, which is the spleen meridian. So it just feels good. So there's physical stuff, but also the energetic. So do that. Then I do a combination of what she calls the hookup, middle finger between the eyebrows, other middle finger in the belly button, slight push in and up. Hold that. Your shoulders are probably like that, probably drop. Hold that for 30 to 60 seconds. Then I do a thing called connecting heaven and earth. Hand up like this, hand down like that. Straight up and down. This helps really ground you. So also you're stretching out the side of your body. Body was tight when you slept. Hold that again for 30 to 60 seconds. Then I tap on the side of the body, side of that here, which links up your spleen and your triple warmer, which is like an immune system meridian. This one really, I find, balances me quick. There's some tender spots on the side of the body here, the ribs. Find a tender spot and just hold this. I do both sides. Again, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Then I do what she calls a zip up. This is more of an energetic one. Basically just zipping up like this. It's a boundary thing. So from your pelvis up to your chin. Sometimes even lock it. So it's almost like you feel more like you have boundaries after that. There's an energy like wall around you in a healthy way. It sounds funny for any of that stuff, but it really is quite a balancing thing. And I think that's pretty much it that she does. Yeah, so those are the 5. And then I mix in some stretches. Sometimes I'll put the stretches between those exercises too, so it's not too strict. I like some versatility in it, and I think variety is important, that you don't feel too strict and stringent. I'll sometimes do a pec stretch, almost always. So, typical like this, leaning forward. I'll sometimes add in a leg stretch, I'll have my one leg, you can't really see, one leg back, one leg forward for my hip flexors. When I do that pec stretch, my hands are almost always out like this, which helps open up the front of my wrists, which is the pericardium meridian, which helps, again, boundaries and just balance. But stretching out your pecs, right, because you sleep and you're forward like this, it helps open up your chest, which can be really beneficial and just feels good. I sometimes do a lat stretch like this against the wall, elbows in, stretching out. I'll do a stretch like this, legs wide, just down to my feet. So just general stretches. side stretch like this, almost like the one we did here, but one leg in front of the other one, stretching out the side of your legs, which corresponds to, there's a couple points and meridians along there. And from a, scientifically based perspective, you could say there's these, they're called neurolymphatic points. So there's points in the body you can push on that increase lymph drainage or our detox system in our body. The large intestine ones are located on the side of the thigh, the femur. So by stretching that out, you're actually stimulating them a little bit. It's more when you massage them, but I think it has an effect as well, definitely on those channels. It's the gallbladder channel in traditional Chinese medicine. So it helps balance that as well, which is decision making and kind of just helps. I find it helps get me in a clear state, balance the decisions and how you're thinking about your day. So I do that. Then one of the most effective things I find is laying backwards on an exercise ball. Okay, so a typical exercise ball from the gym, I'll just lay back, almost like an upside down bridge. And it's the opposite of sitting. It's the opposite of a lot of the forward motions. So I think there's benefits from just a fascial perspective, like our soft tissue. You're stretching the lats, the pecs, kind of like the chest stretch. You're stretching out the front of your body, your hip flexors. Your head is, if you go far enough back, your head is hanging. So it's also distracting some of the vertebrae in your neck. It just really feels great. If you're going to try that, one disclaimer, if you have any kind of, stroke or blood pressure issues, or you are upside down, so be cautious with implementing that, obviously, depending on age. And so, a little disclaimer for my own liability there. So be a little cautious with that one. But I love it. It feels great. And I almost always feel balanced when I get up from that. And I just sit on the exercise ball usually for like 30 seconds too, and kind of dig it into have my foot angled in a way that it kind of digs into the bottom of my foot, like in a good way. It stretches it out. And then what else to do after that? That's pretty much the main aspect. Yes. And then I'll bring in more of the kind of gratitude. Sometimes I add some affirmations in. I used to do more of these, but I find I was just saying the words and not feeling it enough. So now I go more to the feeling side, because that's really important in visualization, the feeling. You can't just say, I'm abundant. You have to feel, what does that feel like to be abundant? Like to feel those things, right? So this is more of the spiritual, get myself in a good space now. That was almost all the clearing, kind of get my balanced. Now it's moving into this. So this is a combination of visualization and some spiritual stuff. I don't necessarily do prayer, but I add in like some various things. So I'll explain in a second. And then I do some gratitude. Okay, so from a spiritual perspective, what I do is I have both grandparents. I close my eyes and I imagine my grandpa on my mom's side, who I used to give fist pounds to all the time. So I give a fist pound to him, and he kind of gives a little nod like he used to do when he was living, which just makes me smile. And then his wife, my grandma, I hold her hand, and she just says her little like she used to do. So again, just kind of makes you smile. And then my grandpa on my other side of the family, I give a big bear hug to, just again like we would have done in life. So that kind of makes me smile. And then I connect to some, I guess you could say, guides or spiritual sides. I do some energy healing work, and there's like this group of beings called the Syrian Blue White Collective. And so I don't like hear voices or anything, but I just kind of feel their energy. I almost like imagine them standing there. They feel like grandparents, and they'll just be there, and I kind of just say hi. This might sound kind of weird if you're not into this, but I just kind of say hi and just almost like just kind of connect in a way. And sometimes, since they do the energy work or they're part of that in some way, I'll do energy healing on myself kind of with them there. It sounds funny to say out loud. And I'll just hold my hands kind of over an area in my body. Usually I'll just intuitively feel it, oh yeah, right in my stomach area. Okay, so I could use some work right here, quote unquote. And so for 5 or 10 seconds, I'll just put my hand over my abdomen and kind of I'll feel densities, almost like some energy healing type of work. I'll just feel that there and just observe it, sometimes 30 seconds. And it almost like helps balance out the energy side. So a little bit more esoteric kind of spiritual energy aspects here. And then there's another group of beings that are loving entities, I'm not sure, that I've just worked with in various meditations over the years, and I actually, I give them a fist pound, so I go like this. I like that, like Sammy Sosa do in baseball. I do that every day, and I just feel their love and support, and it just makes me smile. I feel surrounded in love, so I do that. And then I connect to Jesus in a way. I grew up Christian. I don't resonate necessarily with all those beliefs anymore, but I still see so much beauty in his Christ consciousness and that way of life, and the teachings. And so I connect to him. I kind of see him as a brother in a way. I kind of give him a little fist pound, and we just kind of stand there, and it's different every day. And again, I don't hear voices. It's more just a kind of a connection or feeling, and yeah, it's interesting. So I do that, and then I ask my guides or angels, team, whatever. I don't know necessarily how to word it, but I just ask, just surround me right now. And I just kind of feel like I'm surrounded in love. I feel like my guides, angels, are here. It's interesting. I feel that. So I just kind of feel, so very feeling kind of being surrounded basically at this point. So it's more of an emotional filling me up aspect, like I said, versus almost like a clearing component that I started with. So that's kind of that side. And then I'll go into some gratitude. So combined with the gratitude, I'll do some energy things that activate what are called the radiant circuits. So these are aspects in the body from traditional Chinese medicine that help bring joy, basically, help activate joy in the body. Because just like anything, it's a muscle, right? Just like gratitude, the more you're joyful, the more you smile, the more you will smile, right? So there's an aspect of just being joyful. But there's certain energy circuits that assist that. So the hookup one, the finger between the eyebrows, finger between the belly button, push in and push up, those both, or that is one of them that helps you feel better. But there's another one. So I rub like this. This helps the digestion side. Pull it down the opposite leg. It's an energy stuff. Off the opposite leg. Hand on the face, breathe in. 2 or 3 breaths. Sometimes make a heart in your face, then down the front of your body. Under the middle of your foot, pull up. And to the side of the body, rub. That was the inside of the leg there I was rubbing. And then hand on the back of the head. This feels really good. And then top of the head, rub. And then down again to the feet, up to the side of the body, rub. What else do I do? Hand on the back of the tailbone. And then I'll bring that over the hips to the front, to your pelvis, up to the front. So a combination of those, sometimes down the arms like this. That's a triple warmer. Meridian, again, down the front of the body. So that's not detailed, but these various things, they make you feel better. It's interesting for a host of reasons, I think. But there's definitely an energetic side too. And then with that, sometimes as I do that or separate, I'll do gratitude. Okay, so gratitude is so important. You hear about that all the time. But I do some form of gratitude. So this morning, it was sometimes my hand on my heart. I was grateful for this closet I had, right? Because I could put stuff in it. And so, I'll say like, I'm grateful for that closet. And I think it's important when you're not in a grateful space, your critical voice will be saying in your head, oh, that's a stupid thing. That's a very small thing. Why would you be grateful for such a small thing? Or that critical voice, right? So I actually name it. And I find that really helps shift my state. So I'll say something like, I'm grateful for that closet, and I don't really believe it. I'll say, I know it's a small thing, but it's nice to have stuff in. Or I'll hear again, I know it's a small, but I like that. And that right when you do that, it shifts it. It's so interesting. Or I'm grateful for that window. I know people have windows, but it's nice looking outside. It's nice seeing that and being able to be in a basement with big windows. And just like that, my state, I feel right now, my state shifted. Maybe you can tell I'm vibrant. So it's quick. It's quick. Okay. So, and then that's pretty much it. And then I also put my face in cold water, I have a bowl of cold water in the washroom. So this activates the vagus nerve. So I put my face in the cold water, ears sometimes in there, and I gargle. Okay, so gargling activates the vagus nerve. Sometimes, not usually in the morning, I put a cold pack on my neck here on the front, which activates the vagus nerve super fast. Careful with that one though. If you have a stroke or blood pressure stuff, or definitely just be cautious with that. There's my disclaimer, but I find it super effective. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then I'll finish off with a glass of water or have a little bit more of that. And then, vitamin supplements, breakfast. Sometimes I'll watch something when I have breakfast, sometimes I won't. It depends, various things. But that's pretty much my morning routine. I hope that's helpful. I hope you get a morning routine if it's something that you want to incorporate in. I found it super beneficial. I actually can't imagine my life without it. And when I don't do it or skip it or something else happens, it feels weird. It feels off. It feels like something's missing. And I've never, is this true? I think this is true. I can't remember doing what I just said there and not feeling better after 100% of the time. Like almost always. There's the rare time it brings up more stuff, but almost never. Like it's really effective. I think the tapping is the most effective. It's really amazing. And that going back in the exercise ball is amazing. But yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that's interesting for you to hear. And leave a comment. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. And yeah, chat soon. Awesome. Thanks, guys.